I'm sitting in the rocking chair my husband built for me 42 years ago. It creaks every time I move, like it remembers our whole life together. The maple trees on Willow Creek Lane are glowing gold in the evening sun, and the smell of cinnamon bread still lives in these walls. This house is everything I have left of him. But 6 weeks ago, my own children decided it was time to take it from me. My name is Maggie Hayes. For 40 years, I worked as a nurse. Night shifts, double shifts, holidays. Whatever it took to keep my family afloat. I raised 2 children in this house, Linda and Caleb. I remember them running down this hallway when they were small freckles on their cheeks, jam on their fingers, laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. When they were sick, I stayed up all night beside their beds. When they needed school books, I sewed clothes late into the night to afford them. People used to say, "Maggie, you're the rock of that family." And I believed them, because I thought my children loved me the same way. But something changed. Lately, the phone only rang when they wanted something. "Mom, you need to think about the future." "Mom, you're not as strong as you used to be." They said it gently. Soft voices. Concerned smiles. But their eyes weren't on me. Their eyes were on my house. My savings. My life. One Thursday afternoon, they showed up unannounced. They sat at my kitchen table. The same table where I once taught them their ABCs. Linda placed a folder in front of me. Caleb slid glossy brochures across the wood. Nursing homes. Premium senior living communities. Then Linda circled a date in red ink. 6 weeks from now. That was the day I was supposed to leave my home. They said it like it was a birthday party. When I asked if I had a choice, Linda patted my hand. Like I was a child. "We're just doing what's best for you, Mom." That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling fan and heard my husband Robert's voice in my memory. "Maggie always read the fine print. Always stand your ground." And that's when something cold and steady woke up inside me. They weren't helping me. They were taking from me. So the next morning, before sunrise, I made a pot of coffee, pulled out a spiral notebook, and began writing. Every bank account, every password, every document, every asset. Then I made 3 phone calls. My lawyer friend Janet in Chicago. Detective Carla Ruiz, the neighbor's daughter I once helped through nursing school. And the bank. By sundown, I had what Robert would have called a war plan. I checked the house deed. The children didn't know this, but Robert placed the house in a trust years ago. They couldn't sell it. Not legally. I moved the heirlooms. The wedding ring. Robert's medals. The original deed. All into a safe deposit box. Then I did something else. I installed 2 small cameras. One in the living room. One in the kitchen. They looked like air fresheners. But they saw everything. A few days later, Caleb came with paperwork. Power of attorney. Property transfers. Forms that would give them control of everything. He placed them on my table. "Just sign these, Mom." I smiled, poured him coffee, and slid the papers back. "I'll have my lawyer look at them." His ears turned red. "Your lawyer?" "Yes, honey. My lawyer." What Caleb didn't know was that the recorder in my apron pocket was already running. Then came the day they pushed too far. Linda brought strangers into my living room. A young couple. They were measuring my windows, whispering about renovations, like I was already gone. I poured them lemonade, smiled politely. But inside, the storm had started. That evening, Detective Carla watched the footage. She looked up at me and said, "Maggie, this is elder coercion. If they push harder, we can stop them." So I drew a line. My lawyer filed an injunction. A restraining order followed. My children were legally forbidden from entering my property. And my new will included one clause. If anyone attempted to manipulate or coerce me, they would be disinherited. Completely. When the case finally reached court, the room was packed. Reporters stood along the walls. My children sat across from me, looking like strangers. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I simply said, I am not a helpless old woman. I am a mother, a widow, a nurse who worked 40 years for her family. And I will not be erased. The recordings spoke. The documents spoke. The truth spoke. The judge ruled in my favor. My home was returned to me. The forged power of attorney was destroyed. My children faced charges. And suddenly, people everywhere were listening. Grandparents, neighbors, strangers. They wrote letters saying my story gave them courage. So I turned this house into something new. A safe place. Every Sunday, older neighbors come here. We drink coffee, bake cinnamon rolls, and I teach them something important: how to protect themselves. Because knowledge is armor. If you're listening to my story right now, maybe in your car, maybe on your porch, remember this: growing old is not weakness. Love should never be a weapon. And if someone tries to take the life you built, you are allowed to fight back. I'm Maggie Hayes, and this house is still mine.